Hello and welcome to another stream. This time we're going to go over single, dual home, and multi-home designs. When talking about ISPs, BGP, and connections, sometimes you hear the terminology like single home, dual home, single multi-home, and dual multi-home. These are different design topologies where we describe how a customer is connected using BGP to one or more ISPs. Let's take a look at an example.
Hey there, this is René for Network Lessons. In this video I'll give you some examples of single-homed, dual-homed, single multi-homed and dual multi-homed connections. So these are all different connection types of how you can connect your network to an ISP. So let's start with a simple example. So this over here is my customer and this is the ISP. So I got one router over here, one router at the ISP, and we connect it like this. This is called single home. There is only one ISP and only one link. Now if you want a bit more redundancy, then you can add a second link, like this. And then we call it dual homed. So two links, but still only one ISP. Now there's still only one router at each side. So if you want a bit more redundancy, then what you can do is maybe something like this. So second router at the customer, still one router at ISP, or maybe even add a second router at the ISP. So like this, and then we remove this link and we connect it like this. This is still dual homed. Two links, but only one ISP. Okay. So let's look at another example. So the customer network. This is ISP number 1. This is ISP number 2. And we connect our network like this to two different ISPs. This is what we call single multi-homed. So there is only one link to each ISP, but we are using two different ISPs. Now, on the customer side there is only one router, but I could add a second one and then connect our network like this. So we use the second router to connect to the second ISP. This is a pretty good setup, but still if one of these routers fails, then you will lose an ISP. So what we can do is add second links here. So let me get rid of these routers. So what I can do is use one router at the customer, connect to both ISPs, and use two links. We call this dual multi-homed. Now of course I could still add that second router at the customer, like this, and then connect our network like this. So now we got two routers and we are using dual links. Still one issue is that one of your routers on the left side at the customer is connected to a single ISP. So if one of your routers fails, then you will lose an ISP. So instead it's better to connect it like this. So let's remove these links over here and we connect the network like this. So router 1 to ISP 1 and ISP 2, and router 2 to ISP1 and ISP2. Still dual multi-homed, but this is the most redundant setup you can have. Dual links and redundant routers. So that's pretty much it. So now you've seen some examples of single homed, dual homed, single multi-homed and dual multi-homed. What you need to keep in mind is that single homed is when we talk about a connection to a single ISP. Dual means that we are using 2 links. So dual homed is still a single ISP, but you're using redundant links. Single multi-homed is when you have 2 ISPs, but with a single link to each. And dual multi-homed means you have 2 ISPs, but you're also using dual links. So I hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching, and till next time.
Single homed. A single home design means you have a single connection to a single ISP. With this design, you don't need BGP since there is only one exit path in your network. You might as well use a static default route that points to the ISP. The advantage of a single home link is that it's cost effective. The disadvantage is that you don't have any redundancy. Your link is a single point of failure, but so is using a single ISP. Dual homed. The dual home connection adds some redundancy. You are still only connected to a single ISP, but you are using 2 links instead of 1. There are some variations of this design. Here's the first one. With this design, we use a single router on both ends, but we do have redundant links. To increase redundancy, we can add a second router. And this is still dual home, because dual links, but not multi-home, it's just homed. In the example above, the ISP has a second router. We could have used a second router at the customer's edge and a single router at the ISP. For more redundancy, add a second router at both sides. This is still dual home, dual links, and a single home. The example above offers the most redundancy when you're connected to a single ISP. We have 2 links and 2 routers on both ends. One disadvantage of this design is that we are still using a single ISP. Single, multi-homed. So it's no longer just home, it's multi-home. And when it's multi-home, there are multiple ISPs. So in this case, there are 2. Now it's single, as in a single leg to each of these homes. Multi-home means we are connected to at least 2 different ISPs. The most simple design looks like this. Above, you'll see that we have a single router at the customer connected to 2 different ISPs. The single point of failure in this design is that you only have 1 router at the customer. When it fails, you won't be able to connect to any ISP. We can improve this by adding a second router. So this is still single multi-home, right? Yeah. Because there's a single link to each home and there's two homes. This is a pretty good design. We only use single links, but we are connected to two different ISPs using different routers. Dual multi-home. The dual multi-home design means we are connected to two different ISPs, and we will use redundant links. There are some variations. Here's one of them. Above, you can see that we are connecting to two different ISPs using one router and two links to each ISP. We have redundant ISPs and links, but the router is still a single point of failure. We can improve this by adding a second router. Oops, okay. So dual multi-home. So two homes, two links to each home. The design above is better. It has two customer routers. One disadvantage, however, is that once one of your router fails, you will lose connection to one of the ISPs. Using the same number of routers and links, the following design might be better. Still dual multi-homed. Each home has two links from different routers from the customer. This design has redundant ISPs, routers, and links. Both customer routers are connected to both ISPs. This design does offer the highest redundancy, but it's also an expensive option. In conclusion, we have learned what the different BGP connection options are too. You have now learned what the different BGP connection options to an ISP are. Single homed, you are connected to a single ISP using a single link. Dual home, you are connected to a single ISP using dual links. Single multi-home, you are connected to two ISPs using single links. Dual multi-home, you are connected to two ISPs using dual links. All right, time to end this stream.